Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of the Gamut Network. Why am I wearing a cowboy hat, you ask? That was purchased in Austin, Texas during a visit to the University of Texas, where my daughter will be attending. It's because we have an amazing woman on the show today who has a really interesting story to share and is about to graduate from the University of Texas. Hook 'em horns. Hi, Amie. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I'm doing well today.
Good. First of all, congratulations on almost graduating. I believe we have a couple more days
Just a couple.
until you're graduating, which I'm sure you have mixed emotions about. But I am so excited to have our audience learn about your story, your journey, and what's going to happen next. So can you tell us a little bit about kind of Amie's life before sophomore year of college, and then take us through what happened at that point?
Cool. Okay, so my name is Amie. I am the 12th child of 13, so come from a really big family.
Oh my goodness, I
my,
didn't know that part.
my parents are immigrants from Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and we are stationed in Houston. When I was going to college in Austin, I was excited to be a Longhorn and all of that stuff. I'm a finance major. With a minor in African and African diaspora studies. I remember going into college thinking that, okay, once I get done with this, I'm going to be an investment banker. I'm not even going to sleep during the week. Just different things like that. Like I wanted to be so into it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to, and this is, of course, technology has changed everything about Wall Street and whatnot, but I saw myself, I'm going to participate in this way. And I feel like I was really in tune with just college for what you want it to be and what you think it will be, the part of life where everything is going the way you planned. And I'm like, okay, this works. I'm going to graduate one day. I'm going to be really successful. My job is going to be great. And then things start to slow down a little bit sophomore year. So I just get some small signals and I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like my handwriting. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. It's one of those things where if it's not, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. So those weren't clues to go to the hospital, but I'm like, okay, so
Was your handwriting just not your typical handwriting that you
it just
write?
began to get really sloppy. It began to get hard to read, almost not even legible after however long. And I noticed that, I think it was my accounting class, because you had the opportunity to correct your test.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at my test like, what was I even trying to talk about? And so I'm getting just a bunch of small symptoms that eventually amalgamate to a nerve attack. So I was like, I just thought this was regular pain in my back, pain in my knees, and just like maybe I need to stretch more, maybe I need to, try some yoga or just something. I just didn't think it was a big deal until it all came at once one evening on campus. And I was like, okay, I think this is bad. And just the way campus is set up, I'm like, I don't know how an EMS is going to happen or anything like that. And then my phone dies. I'm like, okay, what should I do? And I remember.
Were you scared?
Yes and no. I'm not very in tune with or I wasn't very in tune with different things that can go on with your health. So I just thought that this was maybe a one-day thing. Like, okay, maybe this is something I need to get checked today, and tomorrow I'll be good. And I was a little bit nervous because at first I was like, my left leg was bothering me a little bit. I was having some back pain. I was having some pain in my knee, but I'm having in my knee. But then when my whole right side was also tired that evening, I was like, okay, this is weird. But that's where I left it. And I called when I found my friend who was also on campus. It took me a long time to get to her, but I knew she was there and I was really happy. And I was like, you know what? I think I need to go to the emergency room. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I just can't feel my legs right now. I need somebody to carry me to your car, and we need to go to the emergency room probably. I have a higher pain tolerance, so I just kind of was going through it calmly, but at the same time, I was I was a different kind of nervous because I'm like, I'm nervous, even though I know this is so atypical, kind of like
Yes.
the unprecedented times that we're in right now. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I think the easier thing to do is just to shrug about it versus come up with feelings that I don't know how to come up with. So
Right.
that's
And I'm sure it was also so far out of your comprehension
yes,
that something like this could happen to a 19-year-old, very seemingly healthy college student. Like that's not, the typical. So I'm sure that that in a way helped manage this moment because it was just so far out of
yeah,
the
yeah.
possibility that it could be what it turned out to be.
Yeah. Nothing really dawned on me until that evening in the emergency room after I got, what's that thing called? I got an MRI. And when
Uh-huh.
I came out, the man behind the machine, he said, how long have you been living like this? And I was like, I didn't even know what he was talking about, but I got back to the room. One of my friends today, and I said, how long have I been living like this? And I'm like, let's cry about it because I don't know what's going on. And then I was finally just like, okay, this might, and no, I didn't even have the vocabulary for it. Yeah, I did not see this as, I didn't understand the the breadth of chronicity. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I was like, yeah, okay, bet maybe 3 weeks, or I don't know how long this will last, but none of it felt like it would last as long as it has been.
And how long did it take to have you diagnosed from that moment that you went to the emergency room?
It took 4 weeks total because MS is like a process of elimination of sorts.
Hmm.
It's like you could have had an infection, you could have this, you could have that. There's a bunch of other things, but the MRI showed that okay, there's a lot of nerve scarring between my central nervous system, so spine and brain. And I guess it was the amount that surprised the person because some people can count their scars, but it's like, oh, my doctor, I asked my neurologist, he's like, yeah, I just kind of stopped counting. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess. But the amount doesn't necessarily change. It's mostly where they are that has the biggest effect. So
And
yeah,
what is the type of MS that you have?
I have relapsing remitting, which is the most, I can't find the right word for it right now, but it's like the most premature form. But essentially it ends up being primary progressive, which is the worst. And people typically are diagnosed in the age of 40. So that was also just, I was like, there's not a lot of, it's uncommon for people,
Yes.
not uncommon because it happens, but the majority of people who have MS are older.
Wow. Okay, so you are a college sophomore,
Mm.
living away from home, and you get this unbelievable diagnosis that is truly changing your life as you knew it. How did you manage through that emotionally?
Mm. It was definitely a journey. So I think what dawned on me after I left the hospital was I knew I wasn't going to die because MS is not fatal. It could be the cause of your death since your immune system is weaker, but it's not fatal. So I said, okay, so I'm not going to die. But what's scarier is now I feel like I don't know how to live because
Mm.
my life has changed. A piece of me, even that piece of me I still hold on to today, was just like, I mean, no, it isn't. Things are the same. And so I think when I first got back, I was like, okay, so and people are like, oh, I mean, how are you doing? I'm like, no worries, I'll be up and running in a week. Just give me a moment. I'll be up. I'll be on my feet.
Mhm, mhm,
And
mhm.
that was my initial coping mechanism,
Of course.
for whatever MS was. I was like, okay, this is not really a thing. Without saying that, I was just saying, oh, okay, you got it. You're good. You're about to be back. And I don't remember when it really hit me. But when I was like, okay, I think it was after 3 weeks, because for some reason I was like, okay, in about 3 weeks, I'll be able to, or at the time I was borrowing a wheelchair from the hospital. And I was like, okay, I'll be able to give it back. And it was 3 weeks before I got an in-home team. I didn't, all of the medical terms and things were just so beyond me to where I'm like, I don't know why I might need this, why I might need that. Why are these people coming to check on me and make sure I'm good every day? This is going to be temporary. And it's like, oh, just kidding. You're going to have them on your side for about 4 to 5 months. And I think when I started to settle into it, I had to get in touch with the part of myself that I couldn't see.
Mm.
Yeah, in terms of I had to stop depending on because I'm a doer, and all the time I'm like, I need my body to catch up with my mind. I'm a doer, but it was frustrating to want to do this, that, and the other, and then my body just wanting to go to sleep. So I'm like, I cannot believe you. This is me talking to myself.
Yeah, I can understand that. I have to tell you that I think my son feels very similar to how you are feeling. His muscular dystrophy has some similarities to MS in terms of the degenerative nature of it. And he has definitely shared with me before that he feels trapped in his body that he cannot control. And it's a very, very challenging emotional battle between your mind and your body in terms of not being able to control what's happening to your own body.
Yeah, that was probably the scariest part. In the flashing back to the emergency room doctor was like, okay, do you drop your phone a lot? And at that time I had a crack on my phone. I'm like, yeah, I totally do. And I didn't know that she was explaining the dystrophy in my hands.
Yeah.
And she asked me, do I put things in the microwave and forget to take it out? And I was like, yeah, all the time. But it's like, we all do that. I think I did it that morning.
I did it last night.
And then regular. And then she said, okay, move your toes. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm looking at my toes and I'm like, excuse me, toes, y'all are supposed to be moving right now. That was the first time where I'm like, wait, my body is not doing what I'm telling it to do. And I think that was very jarring. And I said, okay. And I'm like, I mean, those toes are still yours. So you're not talking to a separate piece of you because you are very much intertwined with this body that's yours. So I felt very at odds. And I think even to this day, sometimes I'm frustrated about, it's like, hey, I'm ready to do this. And my body's like, yeah, and we are actually. So I'm like, okay. I gave myself a rule. I'm like, okay, if my body and my mind are ready to go together at least what I'm talking about here, like 70%, then you probably don't want to go to a thing. And I think that that's a everyday battle. Even just becoming more open to this is how I'm feeling. These are my emotions about this. That was a struggle. So just I think MS has changed me for the better emotionally. I think I've learned about empathy. I think I've learned about courage in a way that, and I find, because I'm like, I don't understand why people say, I wouldn't change it for anything. But now I do, because I'm one of those people. I'm like, yeah, no, I wouldn't change it. I'm like, I mean, are you sure? Because you remember that really hurt, or this was a lot of pain. I'm like, no. There's something that I just wouldn't change. And I'm grateful for all those things that I feel like I've learned that have built me up emotionally. Sorry to go on a tangent on that question.
No, it's a really important tangent because I think that is something that needs to be understood about people with disabilities, in that I think our world, and at no fault of its own, immediately goes to the sympathetic, poor Amie, oh my goodness, look what happened to her, when she was 18, 19 years old. But that's why I'm so thrilled that you acknowledge to us that you feel that you are actually a better person for it. And it really does help you to understand the best parts of you, I would imagine. And the courage of your new normal, which is not easy to, I would imagine, to come back to school and navigate, quite a big campus with your new normal and figuring out, a world that you probably never knew of before. I mean, again, in my case, I didn't even know what muscular dystrophy was, let alone my son had it. So I can imagine that was something that you had to manage through as well.
100%. I was a tour guide also. And I remember when my legs started dragging a little bit on my tours, I didn't understand it. And now I understood it as a symptom of MS. But me and my physical trainer, we physical therapist, we the entire summer we practiced how long it would take. I had an assistive device on my wheelchair at the time that could kind of propel me with electronically, even though I use a standard wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, you can't go faster than 2 miles per hour if you are on the street. If you're inside, you need to go 1.5. And we did so much like little things. I'm like, this is so crazy, because I would have never, I always knew the accessible tour route, but I never took it, because I'm like, okay, I think everybody in my group can take the steps and everything like that. I'm like, oh no, this is different. And I'm like, and my tour is longer. Maybe a 90-minute walking tour is not what everybody needs. And it's just remarkable. I said I felt like, have you seen National Treasure? And when he has that pair of glasses.
Oh, yes, but I can understand what you're saying.
I felt like having a disability is another lens. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the world that I'm looking through. And this is the world that I'm living in. So it is dramatic. And then it's like consciousness. Once you learn something, you can't unlearn it, because now I'm looking around, I'm just like, this is not fair. That needs to be fixed. Why are we treating people like this? I think
we have perspective now.
Yes.
You have an unbelievable perspective that we need more of in this world, because it happened to you, and you now see things through a different lens because you have a disability. But able-bodied people need to have that experience to see how life is it's transformational, and can be in a good way, as evidenced by you. But our mainstream world has got to include everybody.
Right.
Every spectrum of abilities. And I think that you are a phenomenal example of how change needs to happen. And so now you are about to finish your senior year. Obviously, you went back to school, having to have a new normal. I'm excited to say one of the ways that we met is because you were a part of the Runway of Dreams, which is Gamet's nonprofit partner, our fashion show on campus at University of Texas. Now, this is, I cannot wait to get into this part of the discussion, because this is very interesting to me, because you had, prior to your sophomore year in college, you probably had a style. You knew, dressing was never an issue. It just probably wasn't on the forefront of your mind ever, other than if jeans got too small or something like that. Now, fast forward, you have a disability, you are in a wheelchair, and you are probably challenged a bit with dressing yourself.
Right.
Talk to me about that transition, and if there was an impact on participating in the Runway of Dreams event.
Yeah, this even goes to perspective, and I'll start by saying that this was a completely different world to me. I didn't know that like a seated body type was a thing. I'm still fully ambulatory, but I do have fatiguing muscles. So if I am up, it's only so long before I'm not. And then it's also at the mercy of whatever MS feels like doing on that day. And then I have, what is this called? Dexterity issues, and then astereognosis, which I just learned about that. Like if my eyes are closed, I have trouble tying my shoes. So doing my hair became difficult. Tying any scarf, like the scarf on my head, my sister tied it for me. I'm like, hey sis, could you like my earrings, my sister put them on. The only ones that are easy enough are hoop earrings, things like that. But I was like, I called them the things that go quietly. I was so concerned with my new world. And I'm like, I don't know when it happened, but before long, I just have a bunch of baggy pants and a bunch of big shirts, because those are the easiest to get into. I get paresthesia, so sometimes tight clothes aren't like the best thing to wear. And I would have never guessed that, because I thought that everything to do with accommodating for fashion was geriatric. And I was like, I'm not trying to wear that. I'm not, but I'd rather just wear some, maybe a bigger t-shirt. And because I'm thinking about the pants I have, and I'm just like, Amie, when did you get all these pants? And it was just gradually and quietly, I just kind of toned down, but I just quieted my wardrobe, especially when it comes to doing makeup and stuff and my hands not being able to do it as I want to do it. I call it my pocket of indifference. I'm just like, well, I mean, you could feel really bad about it, but you have other things to worry about right now. So let's worry about something else. And we'll just let that desire to be confident, to feel beautiful in the clothes that I'm wearing, to feel like I can be, it was that really stood out to me on your TED Talk. You had said something about like what you wear being like a mirror.
Your identifier to the world.
Emotions, and I said, oh my goodness. Because I'm not going to say I didn't want to be fashionable. I just kind of thought it wasn't an option for me anymore. Because I'm like, you know what? Because I like to live alone. I think that's as a result. I have 12 siblings, but I can't button certain things for the life of me. I started wearing some clothes backwards because it could still be presented. And if I put a blazer on, I didn't have to zip it up and nobody knew that the shirt was backwards. I was just kind of just doing things where I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not going to wear these pants because if I have to, like, I didn't know that people were making different pants with Velcro. I was just buying pants with no zippers. And I didn't put the pieces together, but I was like, this is the easiest thing for me to wear. Something that's elastic, I'm in, and then I'm out. And then the part where I'd ever, like, sleeves and stuff, it just never occurred to me that maybe something out there was easier because, like, internalized ableism and then just the way things are, it's like there's not a lot of visibility for things like that.
So you felt that you had to sacrifice your confidence through how you looked and make things simpler for your life, but that was at probably the demise of how it made you feel. And that is something that is the core of the mission, that nobody should have to sacrifice your confidence through how you identify yourself to the world, in how you dress. And it doesn't mean that you had to be into fashion to feel that way. It's about how you want to present yourself to the world. And that is really at the crux of why originally Runway of Dreams was formed, and why we feel so strongly about encouraging your generation to understand that. So when I found out that you were involved in the show and, understood this completely, I needed to have you on the Gamut Network because you really embody exactly why our mission is what it is. And so tell us a little bit about how it felt to be in the show and how that impacted you.
Sometimes I feel like I feel not immature, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, I felt so special. And our show, it was about 6 people, and the room that we ended up getting wasn't necessarily the most conducive for like a full show, but the attitude was all the people that were there, just the way it was set up. It was shared with the film festival. So the first half of the show, we watched films about disabilities and whatnot, and people were coming in, and it was awesome to invite my friends and say, hey guys, I'm doing this fashion show because, and I'm like, of all the things I've ever invited my friends to, I was like, I never thought that I would ever be inviting them to a fashion show. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing a fashion show. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, yes, guys. And these clothes were made for me. It was so eye-opening. It's one of those things that I get mad at myself for, like, oh, Amie, why didn't you know this already? And I'm like, that's because I don't know everything. Not only do
I don't know everything at your tender
but
age.
Yes.
But I worked in the fashion industry for over 20 years before Oliver came into my life, and I never even heard the word adaptive before. So not to worry. I had years on you that I had no idea about this, but it's something that it was very important to be able to have your generation, my generation, older generations come together to understand the importance. how critically important this is
Critically.
as a human being. I mean, generally clothes are never considered, or the fashion industry is never considered a critical aspect to our world, but it actually can make life better while you live it if you feel good in what you're wearing.
Right.
And I hope that being in that show and being a part of this instilled that confidence back in you, that you deserve to feel exactly how you did before this happened in your sophomore year. And that is something that's really, really important in conveying our message.
Certainly, certainly. Thank you so much. I'm so glad. It makes me wish that I had another year at UT. I know it's gonna be in good hands, but I'm just like, just tell me if I need to connect you to somebody, if you would like to use my network, if I can in any way be.
Well, maybe you'll come back.
Yes,
Come back to the show next year.
No, for sure.
Yes.
So next year.
That's what you should definitely do.
I'll put it on my calendar for sure.
Perfect.
Yeah, definitely excited. There was something that I was a very big follower of Mama Cox on Instagram, and I saw, yes, the late Mama Cox, rest in power. And when I saw your connection with her, I said, you know what, I am not surprised, and I just kind of, am excited that this is a thing, and I'm hoping to let as many people as I know about it.
Oh, fantastic. And yes, Mama Cox was a pioneer and really was at the forefront of showing the world what beauty was, and that it comes in all different shapes, sizes, and abilities. And I truly feel blessed that I had the time with her that I did in my life. And I miss her dearly, but it was really, I feel very lucky about the moments that we had. And I know that you will continue on and make change happen. And I cannot wait to see where you go after graduation. But before we go, I like to ask all of my guests one final question. And that's really about the power of manifestation and a vision board, and really putting things out there that you want to accomplish in your lifetime. So I have so many amazing things that I have on my vision board. This was one of them, to have a talk show that is focused on people with disabilities. And I can't wait to see where it goes. But who or what would be on Amie's vision board?
I make a vision board every year. Sometimes it's a little less elusive than pointed people. I would like to approach the conversation, and it could be via podcast or potentially YouTube, about relationships with people with disabilities. I have 12 siblings. I said that like I'm tired of them. Not tired of them. I love them. And I have 5 sisters. And I think that it's amazing the different things that go through our head once we learn. And I think they're to be shared, because I think that it's more universal than people would ever know. And so I want to eventually highlight those things in my life and those people, and be able to show it to people. So I think a podcast of sorts would be really cool.
Yes, do it. I can't wait to hear it. I will subscribe. I cannot wait. And I know you're going to do it. Amie, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show. You are just an absolute delight. And please come back to the Runway a Dream show at UT this coming, I don't know,
I'll be there.
2021, I'm sure. And I wish you so much luck, and please, let's keep in touch.
Let's do it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. If you would like to be on the Gamut Network, please email us at talent@gamutmanagement.com. Please also subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Gamut Network, as well as like our social pages at Gamut Management. And I'd like to say, yeehaw, hook 'em horns, and I wish you lots of luck. Bye.